Hey guys, how you going? I've got a really disturbing one to read, and I sort of didn't want to, but then the next story that I'm going to read, I'll will link to this in a completely different way than you think. 10-year-old girl was drugged, raped, and dismembered. Suspect allowed to go free. Sorry, guys, this is going to be really upsetting for some people. If if you can't listen to it, you can skip ahead to the next story. Okay. I'm not sure where it's going to be. I'm sorry, guys. But just keep going till you see a different screen. The girl's mother used dating website to find men willing to sexually abuse daughter while she watched. Now, this is really sick. We know, I've heard of this before, and it's very disturbing. In August 2016, Victoria Martins was drugged with methamphetamine. Jesus. Sorry, guys. Raped, murdered, and then dismembered by a group of drug addicts, including her mother. The shocking case is slowly proceeding through the US courts, but a judge has released a key suspect. Legal analysis and law enforcement experts reacted with shock on social media when a judge allowed Fabian Gonzalez, 34, to walk free on Wednesday the 20th of November. Gonzalez was one of a group of drug addicts who were there on the night of the 23rd of August 2016, when Victoria Martins, who had turned 10 the day before, was injected with meth, raped, strangled, then dismembered in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Protesters asked for Judge Charles Brown to be impeached. Yes, if this judge let this guy go, he should be punished. The case has shocked residents in Albuquerque, a city which became synonymous with methamphetamine after it was used as the location for the hit TV show Breaking Bad. Fabian Gonzalez, is now accused of child abuse resulting in death and with helping his cousin Jessica Kelly dismember the 10-year-old girl's body. Judge Charles Brown denied a request by prosecutors to continue holding Gonzalez behind bars. That's disgusting. Gonzalez's girlfriend was Victoria's mother, Michelle Martins, who has pleaded guilty to child abuse resulting in the death of her daughter, but told police her boyfriend's cousin Jessica Kelly had killed the girl. Police say Martins liked watching Victoria being raped by Gonzalez and Kelly and did nothing to stop attack, even though her daughter begged. As I said, guys, deeply disturbing. New Mexico Press women. Check out Ladella Awad's news coverage. Downtown Albuquerque took a big hit with hundreds of people showing up Sunday to protest against the judge's decision in the release of Fabian Gonzalez in the Victoria Martins killing in 2016. Martins, 35, told police she used a dating website to find men willing to sexually abuse her daughter while she watched. She now faces 15 years in jail. She should be in jail for life as far as I'm concerned. This is horrific. How can she not get life? Or the death penalty? Oh. Kelly, 31, pleaded no contest to child abuse, recklessly causing or resulting in death, tampering with evidence, and aggravated assault. Guys, she's admitted it then. Oh, plead no contest. I don't know what that exactly... Yeah, that can be... But either way, if she has done this, she needs to be punished. This is horrible. Jill Michael Mitchell? Mickle? It's a weird way to spell it. Okay, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Breaking. Fabian Gonzalez was released from jail on Tuesday afternoon. I look forward to Rep. Bill Rem's press conference tomorrow addressing this absolute outrageous injustice. Definitely. Kelly claimed in her plea agreement that she was tweaking and suffering paranoid delusions after taking methamphetamine on the afternoon she agreed to mind Victoria while Martins and Gonzalez went out. Why would you take that when you're minding a child? She claimed an unknown man came into the apartment and killed Victoria. If Fabian Gonzalez is not a danger to community after confessed to have dismembered Victoria Martins, then the state of NM has lost its case on all non-violent offenders being held for pre-trial detention. I hope every defendant charged with lesser crimes be released. Murder charges were dropped against Gonzalez, but he admitted to it. But he still faces charges of child abuse and tampering with evidence. This is insane. Last week, Judge Charles Brown caused consternation when he agreed to release Gonzalez without GPS monitoring after ruling the state had failed to prove he was a danger to the community. He admitted it. Victoria's remains were found dead wrapped in a burning blanket. No date has been set yet for Gonzalez's trial, and police say they believe a fourth person was involved in the incident. A man's partial DNA sample was found on the little girl's body, and he has been indicted as John Doe. Prosecutors have appealed against the decision to release Gonzalez. Jeez, guys. That's horrific. Then I wanted to go over here because Prince Andrew prepares to testify over friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I did say there was a link here because there's just something about this that I just want to show you. One sec. Okay. Prince Andrew has pulled out of a planned trip to Bahrain at the last minute, with the Queen and Prince Charles reportedly telling him it was not a good idea in light of recent events. Prince Andrew was set to fly to the Middle East for his pitch at Palace Charity. You mean running? Mere days after being forced to step down from all royal duties for his involvement in the Epstein scandal, he was persuaded by his family that it was not a good idea in light of this week's events, a palace source told the Daily Mail. Andrew is preparing to give formal evidence to a US investigation into his former friend and disgraced pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, according to British media reports. The UK Telegraph reports Buckingham Palace is on alert for a subpoena to be issued to Prince Andrew to give evidence under oath. The Duke of York, 59, stepped down from his public duties on Wednesday for the foreseeable future, after direct consultation with his mother, the Queen. Yeah, and don't think she's not involved in the same type of thing, or even worse. He will no longer receive his GBP 249,000, which is Australian 473,000, sovereign grant allowance which funds public duties, but will receive income from the Queen's private funds. Oh, it's lovely that she can afford to support her son. On Thursday, he was seen in public for the first time since stepping down, driving away from his home in Windsor. Meanwhile, Virginia Giuffre took to Twitter in support of sexual assault victims, saying, "There is no such thing as child prostitution." This is where the link is. Do you see this is what the news is doing to try and downplay this. The last article I read, that little girl on the news probably would have been called a child prostitute. These are the sort of people that we're dealing with. They're not, these children, even if they're 14 and 15 and 16, they're not child prostitutes. They are being trafficked. That's the media's way of downplaying it. And I agree with Virginia Guthrie. The language needs to be changed so victims aren't shamed into silence. Labels are a form of abuse, which is why so many survivors of abuse choose not to come forward, she said. Exactly. There was no reference to Prince Andrew in her tweet. On Wednesday, the Queen's second son released a public letter announcing his decisions to step down after his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein was called into question. I continue to unequivocally regret my ill-judged association with Jeffrey Epstein. His suicide has left many unanswered questions, particularly for his victims, and I deeply sympathise with everyone who has been affected and wants some form of disclosure, he said, or closure, he said. He's only saying that because after the interview on the BBC, if you've seen that, which most people would have seen it by now, because everybody pointed that out, that he never said a word for the victims. He never said he was, I'm extremely sorry for the victims, but, I didn't do anything. But no, he didn't. He didn't care. Just showed he was very out of touch. And if you believe what he said in that 60 minutes, whatever it was, BBC interview, if you believe what he said, I've got a bridge to sell you. Just contact me, okay? On Wednesday, the Queen's second son released a public letter announcing his decision to step down after his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein was called into question. I read that. I read that too. Sorry, guys. More fury over unaired Epstein interview, which was ABC was not allowed to publish an interview done years ago. So the ABC in America was covering it up as well. They're covering up more than that. Wait till you find out. Oh, I can only hope that in time they will be able to rebuild their lives. This makes me sick that he's saying this. Of course, I'm willing to help any appropriate law enforcement agency with their investigations if required. Yeah, well, he should. He needs to let the FBI interview him and go to a court over in America and testify. US lawyer Lisa Bloom, who is representing 5 of Jeffrey Epstein's accusers, said he was not credible in the interview and urged him to hand over more documents. He and his staff must cooperate with all investigations, show up for civil depositions and trials, and produce all documents, Bloom said. We are just getting started. Oh, good. Sorry, guys. Royal commentator Peter Hunt said, Andrew's humiliation is complete. Really? No more cenotaph trooping the colour or appearances of the Buckingham Palace balcony. He won't have embraced his fallen destiny. He'll have clung to the balustrades while the Queen handed him his P45. It will have been filled in by Charles. Jane Doe, 15, who has accused the late financier Jeffrey Epstein of sexually abusing her when she was 15 years old, has also called on Prince Andrew to testify. There you go. The shock announcement rocked the UK establishment and came after days of highly critical headlines following the Prince's BBC interview. There you go. In which he tried to explain his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, saying he visited him in New York to end their friendship. But Prince Andrew's claims that he was too honourable to not drop his friend after he'd been charged with soliciting a minor for prostitution. See how they're wording that? In 2008 sparked outrage for failing to mention Epstein's victims at all. Exactly. Instead, the prince was adamant he never saw anything untoward at Epstein's properties and defended his decision to stay there as convenient. He also described his friend's conduct as unbecoming, which sparked a baffled response from interviewer Emily Maitlis. Unbecoming? He was a sex offender, she said. I'm sorry, I'm being polite. I mean, in the sense that he was a sex offender. But no, was I right in having him as a friend? At the time, bearing in mind this was some years before he was accused of being a sex offender, I don't there was anything wrong then. I don't think there was anything wrong then. The problem was that the fact that once he had been convicted, I stayed with him, he said. That's the bit I kick myself for on a daily basis because it was not something that was becoming of a member of the royal family, and we try to uphold the highest standards and practices, and I let the side down. Simple as that. Oh yeah, on the face of it you like to uphold the highest standards and practices, but behind the scenes, you people are demented. The demented royal family. Why do we even bother? Why is there a royal family? Because Australia, Canada, any of the Commonwealth countries, she owns we've got Crown land in Australia here. The Queen owns. Why? She has nothing for Australia. She does nothing for Australia. Taxpayers also give her money. It's the same in Canada and, of course, the UK. She does nothing for this money. Why are we giving it to her? This should stop, guys. The royal family are obsolete. Over and done with. Finished. That's Virginia Roberts Guthrie. The Duke said if push came to shove, he would be duty-bound to testify under oath and would be prepared to do so. Yes, I would, because I think there's just as much closure for me as there is for everybody else, and undoubtedly some very strange and unpleasant activities have been going on, he said. Give me a break. Prince Andrew also flatly denied allegations he slept with the then 17-year-old Virginia Guthrie, saying he was at a Pizza Express with his daughter the night in question in March 2001. How would he remember he was at a pizza place? And that's a very strange term to use because anyone who knows what the pizza stands for knows that, is it cheese pizza or just pizza? Pizza is a female. Hot dogs are the male. So maybe he was. It's a way of saying it without admitting it in a way, maybe, if you look at it that way. He was at a Pizza Express with his daughter. Was his daughter involved? The extraordinary interview sparked a slew of outrage over the prince's failure to discuss victims and prompted organisations he is associated with to quickly distance himself from his work. Yeah, she looks evil. Getting on with business, the Queen was seen in public less than 30 minutes after Prince Andrew's statement. Yeah. The decision to withdraw from public life, which they should all do, is said to be a first for the royal family. An Australian, the Queen, 93, who is in the delicate process of handing over ever greater parts of her role to Prince Charles. Oh, dear God, no. Please, let's make this family obsolete. Please, please. A friend of the prince told the Sun the decision to step down was a devastating moment for both the prince and the Queen. His reputation is in tatters. It is unlikely he will ever perform royal duties again. He is disgraced, they said. On Wednesday, just 24 minutes after Prince Andrew's extraordinary statement was issued, the Queen gave a speech at Chatham House in which she showed no sign of the toll of the torrid affair had taken on the family. Speaking to Sir David Attenborough, oh dear God, and the Blue Planet 2 team, she said, Sir David, this award recognises your many talents, and one can't help but feel that for those of us of a certain generation, we can take great pleasure in improving age is no barrier to being a positive influence. And if you know anything about Sir David Attenborough, he's just don't even get me started. A fake. So, and that seems to be the end of that one, guys. Let me know what you think anyway. See, that's the reason I wanted to read that first story, is because it gives context to the fact that when Virginia Giuffre says that she wants people to be recognised, rape victims, young rape victims, and yeah, I totally agree that too often they are called prostitutes when they are actually victims. And as you see in this article, that's what they were calling them, underage prostitutes. They're not. These are trafficked children. And I believe it goes for younger than what they're saying. And I don't know what you've heard now, but Bill Clinton was apparently on a yacht or something with... There's all sorts of stuff going down, guys. It's getting absolutely nuts, the news lately. But I believe it will get sorted out very shortly and things will become very clear as to what's going on. Yeah, so I just found those two stories needed to be told, because one shows the other up for what it is in a way. They call these child. They would have, if this was a famous person who had done that to that little girl, what they would be doing is calling her a child prostitute, because her mother did prostitute her online, but she didn't. She wasn't a prostitute. Her mother did it to her. And that's what we find with a lot of these people. And I've heard it before, of the mothers going online and prostituting their daughters out. Or fathers doing it. And it's very, very sickening, guys. And then the news to be complicit in saying that, because they're trying to downplay what it actually is. So what they're saying is, they're child prostitutes. Anyway, guys, you let me know what you think. I know this was it's a disturbing subject, but these stories have to be told. They have to be confronted so that we don't let this happen again. Okay, guys, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye, guys.